All right. We are here with Victor Zapata, a.k.a. Young Beaves Comedy. Thanks for being here, man.
What's cracking?
How you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, just chilling, same old.
All right, Vic. So before we even get started, man, I want to wish you a congratulations. You're engaged now. She said yes, and everything is gravy right now.
Well, yeah. She said yes to the dress. It was good. All's well.
Cool, man.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations on that. Wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
So let's start from the beginning, man. Where are you originally from?
So I was born in the city of LA. I grew up in LA from, let's say, like kinder to like 6th grade. And I grew up around like homies from like Temple Street. Shout out to my homie Blackie. MS 18, different hoods like that. But I actually moved to Baldwin Park, and I ended up getting into a hood in Baldwin Park when I was like maybe like 11, 12 years old. I grew up around homies, so it was like, it was a matter of here or there, what was gonna happen.
So what first attracted you to the gang life?
I mean, honestly, the way I look at it is like, some people say it's like the money or the drugs. Like, to me, it wasn't really none of that stuff, or the girls, Like, to me, it was more about like being a somebody, being respected, Like, I grew up in a house with 3 other siblings, and I was a middle child, and I felt like a nobody, Like, I felt like I was always getting skipped over, And when I went to the streets, I started seeing that this was a place where I could be somebody. Even though it was in an atmosphere where it wasn't like a place where you get a medal, in my mind, I felt like I could make a name, and that's where I wound up on the streets.
What kind of relationship did you have with your parents?
I grew up in a pretty decent home. It wasn't the best of homes. I mean, we were poor. We endured our issue of abuse, whatever, Like, I don't touch bases on that, but I mean, it wasn't the worst of environments, but it wasn't the best, And looking back at it, it's like, because I've been in therapy and stuff like that, and my therapist would always be like, hey, blame it on your mom, blame it on your dad, or blame it on this, but at the end of the day, I feel like if you can't take responsibility for yourself, it's like, who will? And that's what I told my lady, like, we're talking about it, is like, you grew up in this cycle of just blaming other people, blaming the city, blaming your mom, blaming your dad, blaming this, blaming that. I mean, those are parts and factors of what happened, but at the end of the day, it's like, you took part in that too, and I take full responsibility for what I did and for my actions, and
At what age was it when you first got into a gang?
When I first got into my neighborhood, I like I said, I grew up around gangs all my life. But when I got in, it was like junior high. So it was like maybe 11, 12 years old, 13 years old, around there. The only reason why I did it was because like I said, I grew up poor, and I wasn't accepted. I wasn't a cool kid, and I feel like that's the problem with kids nowadays. Even to this day, it's like you just want to be accepted. You just want to feel a part of something. And at that age, I wasn't wearing the nicest clothes. Like right now, I got the Ben Davis shirt on, so I look fresh, But back then, I wasn't wearing nothing like this. I was wearing like 5 for 10 shirt, no fucking brand pants, Payless shoes. I was doing bad, But I didn't realize at those times that was the best my mom could do. That was the best my stepdad could do. That's, because I grew up with a stepdad, and I grew up and I hated it. I hated being poor. I hated the fact that I was so limited, And I rebelled. You know, and I feel like as a kid, you know, you're either gonna do good or you're gonna do bad. And you know, like me, I grew up in a home, and you know, this is a message to all the parents out there. It's like you want to be strict on your kids, right? But if you're too strict, that's bad too. You know, because my parents were really strict, and my parents would be like, "You have to be there at 3 o'clock." You know, I'd have to be home at 3 o'clock, and if not, I would get fucked up by my mom, and I would get fucked up by my dad. You know. Which as a child, I was just like, fuck it, I'm getting fucked up once, but then why am I getting spanked again, you know? I feel like that really fucks you up because you feel like I'm getting punished twice, you know? And I feel like that pushes you to do bad. And that's what really pushed me to do bad because I started looking at it like I'm gonna get fucked up one time. Why not really make it worth it, you know? I'm not gonna get there at 3 o'clock. I'm gonna get there at 4 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or I'm not even gonna get there at all, you know?
So what kind of crazy shit were you doing at that age?
At that age, I mean, I'm not gonna be one of these guys that like sit here and lie like I'm doing all these crazy things at that time, but you know, like I feel like it's about evolving, you know? I grew up around homies, all my homies from ballpark, and like you see these guys like doing this, they're taking G rides, and I feel like slowly but surely you're gonna end up doing that. You jump into a stolen car, you do this, you do that, you end up carrying a gun. You know, nobody is like wakes up one day and say, "Hey, I have to carry a gun." I feel like little by little somebody tells you, "Hey, you know what? You need this or you need that." And I feel like at that age, I was just learning. I was like a sponge. I was just adapting to my environment. And, you know, my environment was not good, but I adapted to it the best I could, you know. And it wound me up in juvenile hall. I wound up in juvenile hall. First time I went to juvenile hall, I was a little kid. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I was scared. And, you know, I didn't know how big of a world was against me, you know. And I wound up in juvenile hall, like 12 years old. I was from a little neighborhood, Baldwin Park, going at it with big gangs like El Monte, Azusa, Bassett, Puente, not knowing that it was like such a big, like, let's say, nemesis that was against me, right? But I remember my first day in juvenile hall, and I was like, damn, like, I'm going at it with all these Mexican gangs, and there's black people that don't like Mexicans. And you know what's weird is because in Baldwin Park, we didn't have blacks like that. You know, there wasn't really black kids in my school like that. It was maybe like 4 kids in our school, huh, babe? It was like a small people, you know? So to go from an environment from where you're just used to seeing people to like hating a person is so different, you know? So when I go to juvenile hall, I see these people, and I had a choice to make. Like either it's like fight or flight, you know? And I mean, I looked at it like, you know what, all my life I have been getting beaten by my mom, by my dad. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why I really, really took the path that I took, because I felt victimized. You know, my dad used to beat me. He'd be fucking drunk and fuck me up. And I didn't know why, right? Because, like, he was drunk. And I'd be like, damn, why is this for fucking me up, dude? Like, I wouldn't get it. And, you know, even if he would tell me why, I didn't understand it, right? When I went to jail, like, the only thing I could think of and the only thing I remember was, like, I don't want to be victimized no more. I'm not going to let nobody victimize me like that. And I didn't. You know, I made a vow to myself that day I walked in through those doors that I wouldn't be victimized, no matter what shape or form, and I didn't.
So, have you ever served prison time?
I mean, I did a good issue of time in jail, which is like juvenile facilities and prison. I've been in prison for a while.
So when you went to prison after your time in juvie, what was your experience like for the very first time?
The first time that I went to prison, it was different for me because I was a little kid. I had just got out of Hawaii. I had been in Nellis, and everybody knows Nellis is like it's like gladiator school. You just like every man for himself type of thing, right? So I had gone through some stuff when I was in Nellis, right? So I ended up coming through and coming good out of that. When I get out of jail, right? When I get out of Hawaii, what people don't tell you is like you get out of Hawaii, there's like this halfway programs and stuff like that. But I feel like they don't really like hit the bull like the nail on the head, right? Like let's say for instance if this guy has a drug problem, they don't really address it. They don't. Cause I got out of YA and I went through so much trauma in YA that I needed to seek like mental health. I needed to seek like a counselor. But me being a kid and coming to a Mexican home, I wasn't gonna do it, because I didn't think there was nothing wrong with me yet. I got out of jail, and I thought I was good, but in reality, I was bad. Like my mind wasn't right. I found myself more violent. I found myself more willing to do stupid things, and I ended up getting arrested like maybe 2-3 weeks later. After getting out, I did 7 years in YA. I get out and I get arrested for armed robbery again, right? I just got out, and I'm like 18, 19 at the time, right? I get busted, boom, whatever. I go to jail, and this is the weird part. When I first go to jail, I'm a YA baby, so I have this mentality of like just go, right? But when you go to prison or you go to county, it's not like that. It's more slowed down. It's like you just can't go like that because there's so many things that you can't do or you could do. It's like you're not used to that. So you have to either adapt or get trapped by it. You're either gonna be it or you're gonna consume you. And I adapted. I adapted good. I adapted to it, and I feel like I did good in the aspect where when I first went to county at the time, I was waiting to go to prison. Actually, I'm a Supermax, and I'm there. I'm like 18 years old, right? I'm a little kid. I'm in a situation, whatever. And I already knew what to do, I wasn't, most kids at my age were scared, they're like, oh, I don't want to go do this. But since I already came from a violent environment, I was like, okay, I know I have to do this because I'm here. I'll do it, let's go, I wasn't really hesitant to it like other guys were,
Okay, so you do time. What's your longest stretch that you've ever done?
The longest I did was 7 years.
7 years. And what was that for?
That was for carjacking.
Carjacking. So you do you're doing 7 years.
That's when I was a kid. But then I ended up doing 5 years for strong arm robbery, 5 years for 5 years for strong arm robbery, 5 years for assault and battery. And I ended up picking up a lot of my cases came from in-house, because I was in jail. And what a lot of people don't tell you is like, let's say if you're in jail, right, and you stab somebody, you pick up an in-house. So you're gonna do like another year, 2 years in-house. So it's whether the DA picks it up or not, it's just like DA referral. And one thing I'll say to people is like, I beat a lot of those cases, right? But you think, oh, fuck this case, I'm good. But when you go to board or when you go to a new case, all that pops up still. They're gonna see that, like, oh, this motherfucker got assault. So you just don't shake them,
Yeah. So, what experiences do you remember doing prison time?
I mean, any
stories that pop out?
I mean, I can remember a lot of them, like I'll give you an example, like there was this one time, it was Valentine's Day, right? And I'm chilling, right? And the thing about anybody who's been in prison knows that a day could be a regular day till it goes like this, right? So I'm in this jail, and we're chilling, whatever. I'm walking on my celly, whatever. And we're walking in chow. I wear glasses. Anybody who knows me from jail knows that I always wear glasses and stuff. And I would always be strapped, you know, like always. You always got to carry some protection, you know. So I'm walking, whatever it is, whatever. And I'm walking at chow, but I'm just like walking with the same guys that I always walk with, right? Which is my homie Wetter from Baker's and another homie right here from Carson. We're chopping it up, right? And we're talking, right? So the way everything works in prison is like there's a crowd here, whatever, right? So one crowd goes and the other race goes, whatever. So we're walking, we're coming through the section, everybody gets their food, whatever, boom, we're coming back now. We're coming into the buildings. So when we're coming in, I'm with this homie, right? And when you can walk with your cup till you get coffee or orange juice, whatever. So I got my coffee and I'm zipping my coffee, and I see something happen, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? What is that? I look good, and I see this guy, right? And this is like a true story, right? It's a little homie from Primera Flats. He's a little short guy, right? They already had an incident where on the way over there to the chow hall, the black guy had bumped into the homie, right? So, you know, in prison, it's all about respect. You know, it's like, hey, we bumped into, like, hey, you know, excuse me. Like, you got to have manners, you know. People think it's like the craziest guys that are crazy, but it's not like that. It's like you have to have manners. You're going to be polite, like it or not, right? So this guy had already bumped into the homie on the way to chow. And I wasn't aware of it, and I found out later, right? They had bumped into him, but they like dropped it, like, oh, it is what it is, right? So on the way back from the chow hall, we're coming into the unit, and they bump in again, and the words were exchanged, and it just like the little homie from Primera Flats just takes flight, you know. So he takes flight on this black guy, right? It is what it is, whatever. She just cracks, right? And people think like you see a riot in on TV, right? You're like, oh shit, like I would love to be there. But now when you're really involved in it, it's fucking nothing to like, you don't want to be there. Like you don't. Because like shit could get, you know when you see fighters on TV and they're like fighting for 2-3 minutes, you're like, I could do that. I doubt it because the average person, you're winded like in 20 seconds, 30 seconds. It gets real, dude. Like in 20, 30 seconds, you could win and lose your life like that.
It's not like how they portray it in the movies.
No. That's why I tell a lot of people, like, you really need to think about that because it could happen just like that. Like that incident. And this is a true story. We're locked and loaded, right? The homies are rocking and rolling. Everybody's like jumping. And the thing about it is like when one place jumps, everybody jumps. So everybody's rocking and rolling. We're rocking and rolling. Boom, 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 boom. Whatever, right? And I go to where the homies are at, obviously, because you know we're all gonna go to where it's at. See this big old black guy, right? And it's like 5 homies with this fool. So like I'm in jail, but I'm always working out, right? So I go in there and I get them up. I've been in YA, so I got little hands on me. So I'm going up with this fool, like rah, 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 we're going at it, right? And this fool's a big ass fool from Hoover. And I never forget where he's from because he had a big ass Hoover on his back. And we're just locking them. Bah, 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 bah. And the homies are next to me. And this is one thing that I always tell people, it's like, why do you need 6 guys with 1 guy? You don't need that because you just start hitting each other, dude. It's too many people. So I'm fucking on this dude and I'm just locking on this guy from Hoover. We're just locking like heads up, right? And I'll never forget it because I'm maybe like 19. I'm young at the time, right? And I'm locking with this fool. Boom, 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 boom. We're going at it, right? Fool hits me right here because you know how they have mops and stuff like that where they mop? There was a mop stick, right? He gets that thing that drains the mop and he's swinging, right? And he hits me like this. I have never in my life have been winded like that, right? And I got hit right here and I was like, oh my God, right? So I'm just like, shit, this is fucking pain, dude. So I go down, dude. I mean, I'm trying to fight, but I don't give a fuck how bad you are. You here right here going down. It's your wind. You can't breathe. So I'm down and I'm just like, fuck, dude. But my pride, man, I'm so angry. I'm so mad, right? All my homies start getting these fools because there's a lot of homies from Bakers right there. They start fucking locking at them. But I'm so mad, right? I'm like, fuck this fool, dude. Like, I'm not going to let this man take me, right? I run to my cell, dude. And my Sally's like, don't do it. And I'm like, fuck this fool, dude. Like, I'm not going to let this fool take me like this. Fuck this fool, dude. Fuck him. Fuck him. I'm not going to let him. Because, you know, me, I'm a kid at the time, right? I'm like 21. I'm in my 20s, right? I'm a kid, right? And, you know, what people don't understand is when you're in prison, all you have is your name. That's it. Once somebody shits on your name, that's it. You're done. It's a wrap. So I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm gonna do what I do, dog. Like I'm gonna get this motherfucker. I'm gonna fucking whack him, dog. I'm not gonna let this motherfucker say he beat the fuck out of me. So I go back and I go to town on that fool, dog. I go to town on his ass, right? And my homie like stops me and he's like, "What are you doing, Beaver? Stop!" And I was like, "Fuck this fool, dude. Like this motherfucker wants to do this and that." And I stopped and I realized, like, damn, dude, like, what the fuck am I doing? Like this is a stupid ass thing. This could have costed me my life, you know? And I mean, thank God, I mean, it is what it is. Circumstances, things change, but there was a lot of situations I was in like that where it could have just been a drop of a dime, you know? Like, that guy could have easily been like, fool stabbed me, or this fool did this, fool did that. But, you know what's funny is that I used to work out in front of this guy, you know, because the thing about me, if you've been in jail with me, you know that that's all I do in jail is work out. I don't drink, I don't get high, just work out all day. I'm doing pull-ups, I'm doing dips, I'm ready all day long, right? And I used to work out in front of this fool, and I used to be doing pull-ups and he'd be doing pull-ups, and he would always tell me, "What are you getting ready for?" I'm like, "Getting ready for war. Like, one day we're gonna go. One day it's gonna go." And it's so crazy that when this whole situation happened, he never snitched me out. You know, he never said, "Oh, this guy." He could have said, "This fool stabbed me." He could easily turn me in, and he didn't. He did it, you know, because that's the code we grew up on, you know. Even though he's my enemy, I'm not gonna throw that man under the bus, you know. And I wouldn't do that neither. I've been in situations, you know. This is a different situation. I'm in Tehachapi, and some situation happened, and something that happened, and me and the homie were supposed to go on some stuff, whatever. We do our job. We do what we gotta do, right? And it's against the black guys, whatever. And these guys are mad. The black people are mad. They're like, "Oh, you know what? Why do they have you?" Because I'm a porter. And they're like, "Why do they have you out there feeding me if I'm a black guy?" And I told them, "Look, I'm a homie, dog. I've been a homie, and you know, now I'm in my 30s. I'm more laced up. I already know what time it is." And I told him, "Look, I would never disrespect your family, and I would never disrespect your food, homie. It was sacred. I won't do that to you. The minute that you come out the cell, I'll stab you. I'll take you down. But as long as you're in that cell, you're off limits, dog. I'm gonna give you your food, and I'm gonna give you that respect as a man that you have coming. I'm not gonna do some low shit. You know, I'm not like that, you know." And I feel like that's why a lot of people don't have that respect no more. A lot of people are doing low shit. They hit it below the belt, And you know what? Like, yeah, you are doing that. Let's say you stab somebody through a cell. But it's like, what are you really accomplishing, dude? Like, it's better to wait. It's better to do things right. So I always tell people, like, I'll always give that same respect. No matter where you're from, whether you're black, Mexican, white, I'll give you the respect that you gave me, because I feel overall, before you are who you are, you're a convict. We're men, and I'm gonna give you that respect, because a lot of people be like, "Oh, you give me my food, and I'm black," and I'll be like, "It doesn't matter whether you're black or brown, white. You want a man just like me, and I'm not gonna tamper with your food, and I'm not gonna tamper with your religion. I'm not gonna tamper with your family, dog. Like, that's something I don't touch, dog. Like, soft limits. Like, I'll give it to you. Now, if you come out that cell, I'm gonna text that ass, but it's different,
So to rewind it back, when you said that the homie from Primera got off,
Yeah.
right? So are there consequences for that? So, because you started beef with another race. Now everybody's got to jump, like you said. One person jumps, we all jump now.
What a lot of people don't understand is, like, when you do anything, whether it's in a company or in prison, there's gonna be an action for that reaction. You react a certain way, there's gonna be an action. So whether that reaction was good or bad for that homie, that's on him. That's something he has to answer to. But you're gonna answer to somebody. So a lot of kids, this is one thing like, my goal is to be a counselor, dog. You know why? Because I want to tell kids, like, you want to be out on the street and you're like, I ain't gonna listen to nobody, and I ain't gonna do. When you go to jail, dog, you won't listen to somebody. Like, don't think you're gonna go in there and just do what the fuck you want, or you're gonna answer to somebody, whether it's on the streets, in jail, in a company, or at home. Answering to your baby mama, you're gonna answer to somebody. I feel like people need to really step back and really look at that. A lot of people, especially us at Raza, we don't think about that.
And I feel as the young crowd nowadays, the ones that are defiant, that don't want to listen, that say that I will never listen to anybody, you're wrong. Because when you go in there, like you said, you're forced to listen. And if you don't listen,
you're gonna get dealt with. You're gonna get dealt with. Hey, and you know what? I feel like it's sad, dude, because it's like, why are you so defiant to, like, the inedible? You can't fight that. It's like a tornado. It's gonna come over you and it's gonna consume you. You're like, it's better just to go with the flow. Like, why? What are you fighting so much? How much hatred, so much anger do you have in you? And you know what? That's one thing that I like to go on these podcasts, because I feel like, especially us as Mexicans, we don't address mental health when we should, dude. We should go on. We should talk to our people and say, hey, how are you doing today? Are you good? How was your day? Because that could be the difference between whether I'm going to have a good day or blow my brains out. And we don't do that. Because us as Latinos or Chicanos, we're so used to saying, fuck that shit, I'm not gonna talk that, fuck that fool. When reality is, you don't know what he's going through. Maybe that's what he needs to hear. We don't know. And we're so programmed to not care, not to show weakness, not to make ourselves vulnerable, that in reality, instead of making us, we're breaking us. We as a people, we're hurting ourselves.
What differences have you noticed from when you were locked up to now? What are some of the differences have you noticed?
A lot of differences. I would say, when I first got locked up, it was a certain ideology that was embedded in our minds. It was like a scripture. It was like a gospel that was embedded into us, right? To now, to where it's more defiant. People are more like reluctant to like accept what's said, and people are just like, if I can get away with it, I'm gonna do it. But in reality, if you really think about it, you'll get away with it for a day, 2 days, 3 days. But you know how they say the piper is always gonna get paid. You know, you're always gonna pay the piper, dude. Whether it's America, prison, somebody's gonna tax that ass. You know, so and you know what? I feel like as long as you fight that and you're in denial, you don't have problems. You know, we pay taxes to America. You know, like it's better just to accept what it is and what's embedded, what's there, instead of like trying to, you know, stir the pot, like they say, you know.
So when you complete your last stretch of prison, what was your mindset like? How did you change your mindset at that point? What made you change it?
I mean, as I got older, you know how they say you get wiser, you know. They say the more you're involved in something, the better you are at it. If you're gonna be an architect, or you're gonna be an engineer, you're gonna be a great engineer. So my trade was a criminal. I was a criminal. I was a career criminal. I was a criminal all my life. So I was the best at what I could be, right? And it came to the point where I was like, you know what, like I'm either gonna do this or I'm gonna do that. And you know what, like at the end of the day, like I felt like I did so much good for my people in that aspect. And you know, the people who know me, you know. The people who see me in prison could vouch for that. People could see that and they'll know, hey, I was with that fool in East Max, Super Max, Wayside, and he was here, you know, and I still saw it for what it was. But you know, it wasn't really a difference of like I got soft or it was more of a difference like I give my life to a let's say like a political party, and you know the political party never gave me what they promised. So here I am now saying, hey, you know, it's my time to do me, and that's what I'm doing. You know, like I feel like I'm in good standings, and which I am, and now I just want to do me. You know, when you get older, I feel like you learn that it's not about the people that are around you, what you have. It's about the people you love, you know, like where you're going to go have dinner, you know, like can you even go have dinner? You know, like you value the things that you don't have, you know, like it's cool to have power. It's cool to have a say so. It's cool to have so much in certain things, right? But in reality, what's that going to give you? Like, your power is only going to go so far. And even if it goes farther than means stretch, right? You're still in a certain place where you're at, you know? So you just really got to like really evaluate where you're at, what you want in life. And that's what I did. I grew up in that area where I grew up at, and I was affiliated to where I was affiliated. I grew up where I grew up, right? Like I'll never turn my back on the game. I love the game because the game made me. The game taught me everything I know. And even to this day, I'm still questioning certain things. But I say, hey, you know what? Like it's time to be me. Like I want to be an individual. I want to make a choice. I want to go out here. I want to do this. I want to do that, right? And you have to. Like I feel like you owe it to yourself. You know, and I feel like that's what kids need to really think about themselves. You know, like it's cool to be accepted, but it's more fucking valuable to be appreciated. And you know who's gonna appreciate you? Your wife, your family, your mom. You know? Because being accepted is like you could be accepted to a college. You could be accepted to anything, right? But when you're appreciated, it's like that person cares about you genuinely. And I feel like that's what's hard to find nowadays. We don't see that, you know? And I hope one day, hopefully, the future, you know, our kids could hear that, you know? Because like I said, my goal is to be a motivational speaker, right? And I want to talk to kids and tell them, you know, because I know how it is to be an outcast. I know what it's like to be not accepted and to be an outcast of the crowd. And I know what it's like to be on the top because I've been on the top. I've been at the top, But you know what? There's no difference whether it being on top or the bottom, because you know what? At the end of the day, we're both blind. We're both blind. We're both aiming for something that's not there, you know? And not only until you see what's really there and what's important, is when you're blindfolded, you know? You're like, what really matters to you? What's important to you, you know?
And what do you want in life now?
Now, what matters to me, honestly, you know, because when I grew up, like I said, I grew up in a gang environment, and it's embarrassing, but I'm not ashamed to say it. I wanted to be like a hood hero. You know, that motherfucker was known. He was here. He went to this, but when I went to prison, I climbed the ladder, right? I climbed to the top. I did what I did, right? And you realize that, you know what? Heroes dies, man. A hero, they die. You know, you got a hero, he's fucking dead. But a legend never dies. And that's what I'm aiming for now, is to leave a legacy. I don't want to be a hero. I don't want to be a hero to 2 blocks, 3 blocks, 1 series. I want to be a legend. I want to leave a legacy behind. You know, I want to be able to say, hey, you know what? I talked to this guy. He was from Monte. He was from Bass. Or he goes, well, you know, you grew up just like me. You didn't have a dad. I didn't have a dad, you know. Like, we are on the same ground. We have the same things against us. We're on the same boat, you know. And it's crazy because we grow up and we hate that guy because he grows up in that city, or he's wearing that color of pants. But in reality, we're the same. We're the same. If you were to really sit down and talk to your enemy like I have had enemies that are black, that are from a different neighborhood, from Monteflores, from Bassett. You talk to them, fucking coolest people you could talk to. They'll be your best friend. And it makes you think, like, why do I hate this man so much? Why do I hate him? Because he grew up 2 blocks away from me? You know, because he's black? Because he's white? You know, it makes you think, like, where your ideology is at. You know, it makes you reevaluate yourself. And I feel like that's what we need to do. You know, we need to stop pressing ourselves, because we're so quick. We're so quick to say, oh, this guy's this. This guy's the voice of the people. The guy is not the voice of people. And even if that is like, let's say if you are the voice of the Chicanos, cool, be that. But be it to the fullest, you know? Like, I feel like our problem as Chicanos is that we're so quick to knock the next man. Let him be. If he wants to do something, let him do it, you know? And, you know, don't push your morals or your thought on that man. Because that's what happens, you know? A lot of people go to jail, and you learn. When you go to jail, you learn about your indigenous background. You learn about our culture, everything, which is cool, right? But don't push it on the next man. If that's not for him, it's not for him. You know, that's one thing that's great about our country. We got the freedom of speech, dude. Like, until we learn to respect the next man's values, we're still at ground zero. And that's what happens with our cultures. You look at other razas, like the black people, white people, they're on the same page. NAACP, they're on the same page. Hey, Jesse Jackson, one call, boom, ahí está. Mexicans, we can't get on the same page because we're still, hey, that fool saying this fool saying this fool's too drunk, this fool doesn't believe that he's a Nastic, this fool's not a Mexica. Who gives a fuck where you're from? You know what? One thing I tripped out on is I heard some stuff where they're like, oh, you're not Chicano, whether you're from here or here or here. If you really think about it, like, you are who you're around, though. And if you were Mexican or white or Italian and you grew up in that area, you're Chicano. You're poor. the cops are not gonna be like, are you full Mexican or half Mexican? Because I'm not gonna shoot you. They're gonna fucking shoot you. They're gonna shoot you. They're gonna pull you over. They're gonna arrest you. They're gonna beat you. They're not gonna ask you if you're mixed. They're not gonna say, are you Puerto Rican or black? They're gonna fucking do what they do, right? And I feel like until we are able to overcome that ignorance, which is in our culture, we're gonna be stuck. We're gonna be stranded, dude. And what's so sad is that, you know, people label us as Latinos as a minority. We're not. We're not a minority. We're a majority. But we just don't know how to think like a majority, dude. If we were to really get together, accept the next man as me, hey, you know what, you're Catholic, you're Christian, you're fucking Buddhism, you're Islam, you think the fucking world is flat. You know what? But we're all on the same page. It's gonna happen. We can be that greater. Until then, we're not. We're gonna be still looked at as lower class, still looked at as ignorant, still get paid under. You know, that's our problem. That's our problem.
Yeah, it's a serious problem, and I have faith that one day it'll all come together. You know, when that day is, we don't know, but
yeah,
there's faith there, and I think it will come together one day.
Yeah.
So, Beaves, you started off as the thug, as the gangbanger.
Yeah.
And at some point, you went from gangbanging to becoming a comedian. Yeah. When did that take place?
So the whole thing with that was, I grew up, like I said, I grew up in jails and all that good stuff. And so I'm working, right? Like, you know, because the thing about people is, like I always tell people when I'm in jail, right? Like I said, you want to be a career criminal? I'll show you. I'll show you how to bag up dope. I'll show you all that. But if you want to make it on the streets, get a job. Get a job, get a good woman. Those are the keys to being a successful person out here. So I get out of jail, boom, I'm working. And one of my coworkers sized me up for an open mic, right? And the thing about me is I had never been on stage. You know, I have talked in front of homies, you know, because when I was in jail, like I said, I was in a situation where I would talk to homies. Motherfuckers were scared. They're like, I don't want to do it. And I'm like, hey, homie, like, got you, dude. I got you. You ride, I ride. So I was used to speaking. I was used to talking to the homies. I was used to, like, certain situations, right? I could address certain things. So I was like, you know what, like, how hard could it be? How hard could it be? I wasn't embarrassed. I wasn't embarrassed talking in front of people. I've been in jail, you know, like, cops would get me naked for no reason. You know, I was in jail. They'll be like, get naked. And you know, I'm not going to say no. I got to get naked, right? Cops say, get naked. I get naked, right? So I wasn't embarrassed. I wasn't ashamed. The situation happens with the comedy is where they sign me up for an open mic, right? And they call my name on an open mic. They're like, hey, so-and-so, come up. And I was like, all right, well, like, why the fuck are they calling my name? Like, what is this? And they're like, well, go. And I go, and I don't know what to say, right? I'm not gonna lie, true story. I'm like quiet. I was like, fuck, what should I talk about, right? And I start thinking, you know what, like, what? I start thinking about, like, should I talk about like this or this and that? I said, you know what, I'm talking about what happens to me at work. You know, what happens with my mom, or what happens with my neighbor who's always partying, what happens with this fucking hood rat who's always fucking everybody. And I started noticing, right? And one thing I embraced off the back, dog, you know, is because a lot of comedians, or let's say a lot of actors, or whoever you are, right? They always say, hey, try to be diverse, or try to be this and try to be that, right? You know, because if not, you stay in the box, right? Like, shout out to my homie Lucky from Hood Stocks, right? This fool, we're chopping it up. You know, Lucky, you know, the thing about me and Lucky is I'm a ruthless ass fool, right? I'm ruthless. I'm a ruthless guy, right? So is Lucky, dog. Lucky's ruthless, dog. Shots, whatever, right? Me and him were getting fucked up, right? One time, right? And he goes, hey, dog, like, I don't want to be stuck in a box, dog. And I was like, you know what? Fuck this box, dog. Like, you've been in jail, I've been in jail. Like, fool, this is us, fool. This is our home, dude. You've been in a box, I've been in a box. Like, you know what? Why are we going to adapt to that crowd, to this crowd? I'm going to wear a bow tie. Fuck that bow tie, dude. I'm going to wear Ben Davis. I'm going to wear fucking who I am. I'm going to embrace this box, dude. And I feel like us as Latinos, that's what we need to do, though. As Chicanos, Raza, whatever race you are, Salvadorian, Honduran, embrace who you are, and then that's when shit's gonna happen. Because if not, you're just Mickey Mousing, though. You're gonna be knocking on the door till somebody hopefully opens it. Fuck that. You know, you're in a box, embrace that shit, dog. Play Chicano music. Play fucking oldies, dress as a homie, drink, and make mistakes. You know, because people, you know, this is one thing I always tell people. I'll be at podcasts and I'll be like, oh, he's drinking or he's doing this. You know what? You know, one thing why I always do it is because the same thing when I was in prison, right? I was in prison and I would see a lot of people go down, dog. A lot of fucking leaders, dog. I'm talking about big dogs. They would go to shit. You know why? Because they were hiding who they were. They were hiding the fact that they used heroin. They were hiding the fact that they were doing fucking crystal. And I would ask them, like, man, well, you know, what's this? What's that, right? I learned, you know, it's better to give the people who you are. Show them who you are. Hey, you know what? On the weekends, I like to drink beers. You know, I like to do a podcast and go to Olive Garden and kick it, you know what I mean? Show him who you are. And you know what? I didn't believe it until I seen Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton went on TV and said, hey, you know what? I do what I do. I got my dick sucked, but this is who I am. Hey, I'm telling you. And the people didn't hate him. You know why they didn't hate him? Because you as a person, you're like, damn, I've been there. I've been there. I got my dick sucked. I cheated on my girl. I did. You can relate. You can relate. And it's better to be open than to be closed. Because when you're closed, that's when people start digging on you. They start, oh, what about that one time you did this and this? So it's better. That's why I always tell my lady, hey, you know what? I'm going to go kick it, drink some brews, chop it up, kick back. Nothing crazy, you know? It's better. Because I feel like the more you have to conceal, the more they're going to reveal. You know what I mean?
Honesty is the best policy, man.
Exactly. And I learned it through my lady. Hey, am I lying, babe? I was like, hey, I would lie because I'm a criminal, though. So I was always lying. I was trying to conceal stuff from her. And now that I'm with her, like I told you, even when it comes to tips, I was a janky ass vato. I was like, I'm not only going to pay $5. She would tell me, like, hey, you know what? Put 10, put 20, because you know what? These people serve you. They take care of you. Like, take care of them how you want to, you know? And it goes a long way, you know? You take care of the people, they take care of you. It's good, you know? You learn, you live and you learn. And you know what? What's crazy is that at my age, like, I felt like I was on top of the world. I felt like I knew everything. And to meet her, like, I learned so much, you know? I learned little things like about tipping, about being humble, you know? I just did a meet and greet, remember? Nobody fucking went. Nobody fucking went, dude, nobody. But you know what? It fucking humbles you. Because she told me, she was like, hey, you just did a meet and greet, nobody went. And I was like, you know what? You're right. But you know what? Eventually somebody will come. Eventually I will get to that point where people will want to see me like that. You know, because you being at this status, you don't want to accept failure. And I feel like failure is our worst enemy. And when you can admit it and you see it, so good.
Where was the meet and greet?
What city was it, babe? Tonga? Far as fuck, fool. And I did the meet and greet because it was a girl. She had like a video place, right? She had a video place, and because I believe in local businesses, dude. I look at local businesses like the next crowd up, you know. And I feel like we should support those people, right? So I always go to places like that. They invite me to little pop-ups. I go, dude, because I feel like that's the people who are making it, like me, you know. I feel like I know I haven't made it, and I feel like they're. I'm like, you need to make it too, you know? Like, so I'm always, you know, the thing about me is like, even when I was in prison, though, I always brought the next man up, because I feel like that's our problem. Our problem as Latinos is that we don't bring the next man up. We kick them in the head. We'll be like, hey, I'm gonna make it, but you don't, you know. There's a crazy story is I learned years ago, right? True story. I'm in Wayside, right? Years ago, I'm with this vato, and he's like a Chinese guy, but he's like all involved in the bullshit, right? We're super max. And the thing about me is I love to talk to different people because you learn from them, right? You talk to an Armenian, you learn about their culture, whatever, right? I'm talking to this vato, and he's a Chinese guy, right? And he's telling me about his culture, about his family and everything, right? And he tells me how we have it sold up in jail, right? He's like, you guys got that shit on lock in here, right? And I tell me, yeah, you know, it is what it is, right? And he goes, why can't you do this out there? And I was like, well, we're doing whatever, right? We're doing what it is, whatever, right? And he goes, no, but really? He goes, you know why you can't make it? And I'm like, well, why, right? And he goes, I'm going to tell you something that my dad told me years ago when he came over here, and he told me about you guys right now. I'm like, okay, this guy's giving racist. But I'm like, tell me, right? Tell me what it is, right? So he goes, there's 3 buckets. There's a bucket full of Asian crabs, right? I'm pretty sure you heard this story. Asian crabs right here. There's a bucket full of European crabs, which is like all white, all European right here, right? White type of Caucasian right here, right? And the third one, Latino crabs, right? The guy has 2 lids only, so one of them has to stay open. So he tells the kid, who do you want to cover? Like, well, I'm gonna cover this one and maybe this one. He goes, nah. He goes, look, the Asians, they'll pull each other up. One will come, he'll come up and he'll bring the other one up. So we have to cover that one. The white man knows that their only tactic to win is divide and conquer. So we can't leave them open. They have an objective. They have an ideology. They cover them. And the kid tells the dad, why aren't you covering these crabs, right? And he goes, because the Hispanic, the Latino crabs, they're always going to drag each other down, though. And this was back in the days. We were almost like maybe 19, 20 years old, Supermax, when he told me that. And I never forgot that fucking saying, though. And as I grew up in prison, as I grew up on the streets, in jobs, I seen it. And I would be like, damn, dude, that's so true. You know, because that's how we drag each other down. You know, instead of saying, hey, so-and-so's doing good on the job, we'll be like, hey, so-and-so's late. So-and-so is stealing this, or so-and-so's doing this. Like, we drag each other down so sad. It's fucked up, dog. It's fucked up how we bring our culture down. But you know what? I don't feel like we're a lost cause. I feel like we can turn that around. If we just start reprogramming, like you said, our minds to do it every day. Hey, you know what? Do this. And we have more, like, not even heroes, but people that are doing it. You know, I feel like we could do it. Because right now we really don't. You know, we don't have somebody, like, I'm going to be like that guy. I'm going to do this, you know.
Definitely a work in progress, right?
Exactly. But I don't feel like we're like a lost cause. I don't feel like it. Because we're such a hardworking culture, dog. We'll fucking build you a house in a day. You know, our raza is so strong, it's so good. But I feel like it just takes the right mixture, the right good, you know, because even when I was in jail, you know, the cholos would beat up the paisas. And I would tell the homies all the time, how are you gonna fuck that fool up if your dad is paisa? How you gonna do that? I always fought against it. And thank God now we're together. We're good. But I believed in that since day one. Back in 2000, I know that was wrong. I would tell the homies, how you going to jack the corn man when motherfuckers only making $20, $60, $80? You know, you feel because you're born here, hey, I can make this. I'm going to make a quick come up. But you don't think about what you're fucking doing, dude. Like, what you're really taking from. And when you get older, you learn. And I hope you run into somebody like me that's gonna tell you, hey, don't rob that man. Or, you know, don't do all that. You know, rob somebody who's worth robbing. Don't rob your own, you know? Like, it's crazy.
Beaves, what have you learned from your life experiences?
What I've learned, honestly, is the number one lesson I've learned from being on the top and being on the bottom is being humbled, man. Being humble and humility is the most critical thing you can learn, you know, because I've been in situations where I could say yes, I could say no, old man goes, old man stays. But, you know, being humble is like, it's like really the most important thing you can learn, man. You know, because if you're not humble, then you're like so stuck on a certain situation that you self-destruct, you know. And I feel like that's where most people go wrong. You know, you don't know how to transition from there to here, you know. And it's a harsh transition. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm not going to say it's easy. I'm not going to say, hey, you're going to find the job tomorrow. It's going to be hard. But you know, one thing I tell even my lady, like to this day, I tell her, hey, you know what? I got 2 strikes. I'm a fucking felon. I'm fucked up for life. But you know what? There hasn't been a day I don't work. I work every fucking day. I pay my fucking taxes. I do what I do because you know what? If I could do it, you can do it. You know, don't sit here and say, oh, I can get a job because I got a record. You go get a job, dude. You can get a job. You're too prideful. You don't want to wash windows or you don't want to work at that car. Fucking, if you could, the way I look at it is if you can walk, you can talk, you can move your arm, you can work. And you can work. And if you can work way up. You know, that's our problem. We just, I feel like most of us want to get everything handed to us. And it's not like that. And even if you get something handed to us, like what value does it have? You're not gonna cherish it. You're not gonna value it. You're gonna fucking squander it. You know, when you work for something, it's worth more. You know, it's more valuable to you. It's more of an asset. You know what I mean?
If you had a choice between being feared or being loved, what would it be?
I mean, back in the days, I would say feared because of who I was and the life I lived. You know, you couldn't be loved, you know. I came from the world where, you know, even to this day, like a lot of people know, like I've been in jail and I wouldn't eat after nobody. I wouldn't drink after nobody because the people that I was raised with, we all thought the same, you know, like, okay, I'm going to drink after this guy, I'm going to eat after this guy, but what if he poisons me? You know, we were on that mentality, you know, we were on that tip, you know. But now I'm just like, you know what, like, to be loved is like so beautiful, man. You know, I came from a time and an era where, you know, we couldn't cry, you know. Couldn't cry. I haven't cried in years, right? But to be now, to be normal is like so much better, man. I just seen Purple Rain. I was fucking crying, dude. Remember, babe? I fucking seen Purple Rain. I was crying. I was like, fucking Prince, man. Like, because you know what? You want to feel that. You want to feel. Want to, you know, and you know what? For you to find that somebody where you can, so amazing, man. Like I'm telling you, I've been at the top where I can say this and that, and the money's good, the power's there, but I would never trade it for where I'm at now, you know, to say, you know what, I can be, you know, because it's crazy, you know, and this is a shout out to all of us, you know, as Latinos, as Chicanos, you know, we're so prideful. I'm like, I fucking cry when I die. But you know what? When you die, nobody's gonna hear you cry. I'd rather fucking cry at the end of a movie. I'd rather fucking cry when my mom dies. I'd rather cry when I should, you know. And you know what? I feel like you shouldn't be embarrassed that. Hey, you know what? If you're sad, fucking cry, dude. You don't let it out. I feel like that's our problem. We're building these walls, man. They're so high. Never gonna go over them, man. At the end of the day, you know who's gonna be there? You, right there, still crying. Crying, nobody's gonna care. Nobody's gonna care. Nobody's gonna hear you cry down there. We're all up here. You know? We need to figure that out. And I feel like we will. Hopefully one day, hopefully somebody hears this. Hopefully somebody's watching it. Some kid, dude. I know, because I get hit up all the time. Some kids ready to do the dirt, ready to do some shit. But remember, dude, like, I've been there. And that's what I tell kids all the time. I've been there. I've been in the same shoes, not accepted, old boys this, and it's all that. But you know, what are you going to do? You're going to give 10, 20 years of your life to what? End up in jail and then be cellies with this guy? You're going to be cellies with him? You're going to be buddies? You're going to be spreading sopas? You know, like, you need to really think about what you're doing, you know? And I feel like it's to the parents, too. The parents to see the kids, hey, you know what? He's having problems. Or, hey, you know what? We need to reach out to him. Hey, you know what? Because it's not only our fault as kids, you know? Like, the parents need to interact también, you know? But we don't. Because we're scared. You know, I don't want to think about my kid having sex. I'll kill a motherfucker. You know what? I don't want to think about that. But it's going to happen. You know, so it's better for us to be adults and be realistic and accept it. You know?
What do you fear now in life?
What I fear now, honestly, is 1, losing my lady. 2, my kids being ashamed of me. And 3, being forgotten, you know, because I want to leave a legacy. You know, I feel like as a criminal, I made a name. And you know what? For years, that's what I was proud of. I was proud to be a career criminal. I was part of a certain, let's say, organization or whatever I was involved in, whatever. And I made a good name, you know, like nobody's ever going to bash my name, you know, because, you know, I was solid as hell, you know. But I feel like now it's like, I have something else I can give, you know. I could never tell my kids, hey, you know what, I was this. You know, they're gonna be like, and you know, they're never gonna be relate. You know, so now I'm scared of not being able to have the answers to the questions she asked. You know, my kids, you know, I have 2 daughters, you know, so I just want to leave a good legacy for them, a good example, you know, like something they could be proud of. You know, that's my dream. Is to die, but my kids to be proud of me. You know, my mom, to this day, nobody's ever done shit on my family. And I'm the only one that's trying to do something, you know, like everybody's doing something, but it's not like something that's gonna stay there. And I want my mom came illegally from Mexico here to search a dream, and she gave up her dream for us because we became gang members. We took a shit on her. We took a shit on her dream. So I feel like it's my fucking duty to give her something back, you know. And if you've been there, like, I feel like you can relate, you know, like it's not right that I take that from her, and I'm not. So that's why this day, you know, I'm giving it back to her, calling her, you know, hey, I love you, Mom. Hey, you know what, how you doing, Mom? You need this, give you this, whatever you need, you know, because we take so much, you know. I feel like us as people, we're selfish, dog. We don't think about it. You think you're the only person that's in jail, when in reality it's not just you doing time, dog. It's your family. It's your fucking. You're not only hurting the victims, but you're hurting your family, dog. Every day you're in jail, they're in fucking jail too, dog. They're doing time with you. You know, your mom's going to work, but she's stressed the fuck out. You know, she's trying to figure out how to pay the bill. Fucking GTL, fucking collect calls, like $20 a call. You know, you don't give a fuck, you're calling, you know. And that's why I tell homies, hey, you know what, like, look out for your family, dog. Like, those are the people that are gonna be there. Your homeboys are your homies, dog. They're always gonna, but your family, it's on another level, dog. Like, whether you have a good relationship or a bad relationship, make that man, dog. Make that man, you know? Because you don't know when it's going to be gone.
Well, Victor, thanks for being here, man. Thank you for sharing your story. I'm sure that many youngsters are going to watch this.
I hope so, though.
And they're going to learn. Because your story is very captivating. You mean well, and you've been through it all.
Yeah, in and out. All that, though.
Any messages you want to leave to the youngsters out there?
I would say this. I'd be like, no matter how hard you think you have it, somebody else has it harder, though. Whether you want to wind up here or there, like, really think about it. Like, I've been there. And I always tell people, like, you think it's better here, but it's not. You know, you're dealing with a certain level of problems, you know. I've been at the top and I've been at the bottom, and I tell people, you know what? The best advice I can give them is be thankful. You know, we wake up every day and we say, I fucking hate the way that I'm in debt. My fucking girl's cheating on me. This is happening. I'm having this against me. Be thankful for one day. Don't complain about what you don't got, and be thankful for what you do got. And you'll see the difference in your life, eh?
Well, Beaves, thanks again for being here, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate you and wish you nothing but the best of luck.
Always. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You got it, man.
Oh, yeah.